Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Nick Push. Happy 4th of July weekend. There is no better time than 4th of July weekend to talk about the classic movie, Jaws. Talking about Jaws is such a daunting task. Not only is it one of my favorite movies of all time, it is in the conversation for greatest movies of all time. It essentially created the summer blockbuster back in 1975, and there are still people to this day, sometimes myself included, that are scared to go in the water just because of this movie. It's absolutely insane. So, I'm going to break it down as I always do by giving my MVP, LVP, best scene, worst scene, scariest scene, unsung hero, funniest and dumbest moments, best shark moment for this, and then rate the movie. Although some of these I might have to skip because this movie is that fucking good. Before I get into breaking this down, do me a couple of things. Down in the comments, tell me, A, if you consider Jaws a horror movie, and B, tell me your favorite moment from this film. That being said, let's get right into talking about this shit.
If you like horror, hit that notification bell, smash that like button, and push that subscribe button now.
What's the boogeyman?
Hello, Sydney.
Welcome to my nightmare. We want the man who did this.
Welcome to Nick Push's Horror Channel.
So before we get into the MVP, we are, as always, going to talk about the characters in this movie. One of the many things that separates Jaws from all the millions of other shark movies is the cast of characters. And I am not talking about the shark, I am talking about human characters. There are essentially 4 main characters in this movie, 3 and Mayor Vaughn, right? But I'd consider Mayor Vaughn such an integral, important part of this movie that we got to talk about him in the main cast of characters. So we got Chief Brody, who is essentially our protagonist. We have Quint, who is kind of like a badass, old school shark hunter. We got Hooper, played by the famous Richard Dreyfuss, who's pretty young here, who plays like a grad student, marine biologist type person. And then we got Mayor Vaughn, who is trying to keep the beaches open for the summer. The interaction of these characters is just fantastic. And like I said, this is what separates, or one of the many things that separates Jaws from all the other dime a dozen shark movies, is being on this ride with these characters, watching them interact with each other, positively and negatively. I think they're all played and directed brilliantly. So cast of characters in Jaws is absolutely fantastic. But let's get right into the MVP of this movie. The MVP for me is Steven Spielberg. Now, back when this movie came out, you say the name Steven Spielberg, and it's not like today where, you say Spielberg and everyone knows who fucking Steven Spielberg is. At this point in time, he's, if not the greatest director of all time, he's A, in that conversation, and B, easily the most accomplished director of all time. But back in 1975, he was a young director who was struggling to make this movie because there was all kinds of technical difficulties with the shark, budget constraints. They were so many days behind schedule, like not just 1 or 2. I'm talking about, I want to say it was almost like 100 days over schedule or something like that, which is just unheard of now. But Spielberg took everything that the book Jaws had and made it come to life, and he used the issues with the mechanical shark, with Bruce, that they were having. He used that to his advantage, and whether you want to call it an act of God, a miracle, whatever, it made this movie infinitely better that we didn't see the shark until more than halfway through this movie. And it's Spielberg's direction that still was able to create tension and all kinds of different things. Not to mention what he did with the characters and the camera movements, just, that zoom shot on Brody when he's at the beach. So many just brilliant decisions that Spielberg made. He had his vision. He had to adjust his vision, and it's just absolutely insane what he was able to accomplish here. And it's never been replicated before. Like I said, there are countless other shark movies out there. Countless. And I'm not just talking about, Sci-Fi Channel shark movies. I'm talking about countless big budget shark movies. And for whatever reason, nobody's ever been able to capture the essence of a shark movie like Steven Spielberg. I mean, at this point, that was 75? It's 2023. That's 48 years ago. We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of this movie. And it's not very dated. Yes, there's no cell phones. Obviously, it's, the 70s. But other than that, it is not dated. And that is just absolutely extremely impressive. So, Steven Spielberg, you are the fucking MVP, man. Just what an incredible job for a young director under a lot of stress and trying to make his mark on Hollywood. And oh boy, did he. He created the summer blockbuster with this movie. Pretty impressive. Spielberg, you are the MVP. LVP. Well, guys, with a movie like Jaws, it's hard to find negative things about it, okay? I am a guy that, even with movies I love, for the most part, I can find and critique certain things. With Jaws is probably one of maybe 2 or 3 movies that I cannot. I tried, but you're not going to see an answer for me for my LVP. You're not going to see an answer for me for my worst scene or my dumbest moment. I tried. I was thinking of things like, tiger shark moment. I was thinking of things like, the Kittner slap. That stuff is still all good. It's woven into the story. It's needed. You could make a case that Mayor Larry Vaughn is the LVP, right? If you want to pick someone. But he's not. Mayor Vaughn is a great fucking character. You might disagree, and obviously it didn't work out for them. It was wrong what he did, keeping the beaches open, right? But it's complicated in his position. Should he have closed the beaches? Yes, absolutely. But he closes the beaches. It's a summer town. All those businesses rely on those summer dollars. So did he make the wrong decision? Probably, right? People died. The Kittner boy died. Okay? But the complications in his character are what make him a great character. He even says to Brody at one point, my kids are on that beach too. You can see that he's worried. He doesn't like what he's doing. But it's kind of his job to look out for the big picture of everything. Obviously, it was a mistake, but I wouldn't count him as the LVP because I think he is a great character. So as much as I wanted to put an LVP, I just couldn't. I understand why people would put Larry Vaughn there. I cannot for the reasons I just stated. All right, let's get to the next one here. We have best scene. So give me a second to pull it up here. The best scene for me is Quint's Indianapolis speech. My God, I can't do this justice. We're going to break down another scene later. Like, we're actually going to watch the clip in a little bit here. This scene, I wanted to do that. I can't do it justice, and I'm not going to be able to just play the whole thing without stopping it. I would encourage you to go on YouTube here and just watch Quint's Indianapolis speech. It is that good. We got these 3 characters on the boat, and they're fucking around, right? Drinking, all kinds of shit, pulling out battle scars. Hooper and Quint are showing kind of their shark battle scars, right? And then Quint starts talking about being on the USS Indianapolis, and which is a real story, by the way. Not Quint, but it's a real story. It's a real thing that happened. But this ship went down, I think in, was it World War II, right? Went to go retrieve something, and the ship sank. And Quint's talking about what happened, where a bunch of people survived and the sharks were taking out everyone else. And just the way Robert Shaw delivers this speech is fucking incredible. You know, talking about a shark head like a doll's eyes, you know. Oh, it's so good. I can't do it justice. I encourage you guys to go watch it. But Quint's USS Indianapolis speech, for me, is by far the best moment in this movie. All right, we do not have a worse scene because, like I said, I just couldn't come up with it with this movie. Even the scenes that might not be entertaining are still good, and they're still needed in this movie. That's how good this movie is. All right, but let's get to the next one here. We have our scariest scene. It's the opening kill for me. Okay. This is Chrissy, and opening of the movie is her going for a night swim, right? Things people do all the time, or especially they did back in the day. Maybe they don't do anymore. But going for a night swim. It's dusk. As we know, that is feeding time for sharks, right? But we never see the shark in this scene. But what we see is her swimming, and all of a sudden, boom, she gets kind of pulled, she gets kind of yanked, and then she's yanked some more, and then she's going back and forth and screaming. Apparently, when they're filming this scene, this poor actress, they're pulling her and yanking her every which way. Those are real screams. But eventually, she gets kind of like pushed into like that buoy back there in the picture, and just goes down. Horrifying scene, and made 10 times better by the fact that we do not see what is pulling her underwater. Now, we know that this movie is titled Jaws, so we know it's most likely a shark, right? But we don't see it. Our imagination is running wild here, and that's what the first half of this movie makes you do before we actually see the shark. Fucking incredible. But for me, that's the scariest scene, just because you know something's going to happen, and then it just kind of happens slowly where she gets yanked, and it's subtle. Just a great scene. So opening kill is my scariest scene. Now we got the unsung hero. The unsung hero for me is Amity Island. Now, this was tough. Unsung hero. You know, I could have said, I was debating a lot of things here. I was debating putting Robert Shaw. Because, you know, you think of Brody, right? You think of the shark. You think of Marwan. But Shaw, he's not unsung. You know, there's so many things in this movie. This is such a popular movie, for good reason, obviously, that it's hard to find something that's unsung. But for me, the town of Amity Island is just so brilliantly created here that it's like an extra character in this movie. And for me, I think that's an underrated part of this movie. So for me, the town of Amity is an unsung hero. You can feel that it's a summer town. It's built on summer dollars, like I said with Mayor Vaughn earlier. It is built on all these different things. Brody, a chief of police who's there, was coincidentally, you know, afraid of the water in a beach town. But Brody's there, you know, as a chief of police. He's walking around town, you know, with the beach closed sign. You feel all the things in this town. You feel that it's a small town. You see, you know, the picture here, you know, it's right outside Quint's place with the orca there. You just feel that it's a northeast beach town. And I think that vibe of that town, the character of that town, really just brings a classic and just like an underrated element to this film. So, unsung hero is Amity Island for me. Let's get to the funniest moment. For me, there's two moments here. I chose one, but I'm going to talk about two. The one I chose is Hooper being kind of goofy. And I'm going to pull it up right here. And it's immature, but him and Quint are kind of going back and forth. You know, Quint doesn't really respect Hooper at the beginning because Hooper's, you know, a city boy, you know, and Quint's a worker. But they're just kind of got this back and forth banter, which is great. And, you know, Quint says something to Hooper because it's his boat, and Hooper just makes this face when Quint turns around. It's so goofy. But it cracks me up. There's little subtle humor in that. Which I think nowadays will be more thrown in our face, like with one-liners to make the audience laugh. You know, these modern-day blockbusters just have to throw that shit in there. But for me, it's Hooper just being goofy. And the other one that I wanted to just talk about briefly, it's just another subtle little line, but Brody and Hooper are drinking wine at dinner, getting pretty drunk, and then they go to check out the remains of the shark that was caught, this tiny shark that was caught. And Hooper basically says, we got to go out in the water. This is when it's nighttime. This is when we go out. And Brody just goes, on the water? But I'm not drunk enough to be out on the water. It's so good. But just subtle humor is great, is so good in this movie. But now we are going to talk about, and I'm going to pull up a scene here. We're going to talk about the best shark moments, because I'm skipping dumbest moment. A lot of movies I can pull a dumbest moment. Like I said, Jaws, I tried. I got nothing. But let's get to the best shark moment, and then we're going to rate this. Best shark moment for me is the pond kill, and we are going to watch it right now. I'm going to have to pause it a couple times just because otherwise YouTube will not allow this to be aired, but I just wanted to talk about a few things. So let's pull this up right now and go.
Folks, we had some practical jokers out there with a fake fin. It's just a trick.
Shark!
That was a fake
The
fin.
shark!
Love that right away. Everybody had already been reacting to the kids that were playing the prank with the shark, and then it cuts to this shark in this other area. So good. And we see it. This is where we see the fin here, and you see them kind of like slowly going.
Now what?
Michael's in the pond.
Everybody doesn't really believe it. He's going. It's slowly building up this little bit of a scene here. Brody's, like I said, he's slowly kind of going. Let's continue. Starting to speed up. Look at that right there. Look at that. You got the young kid playing there on the sand, and the shark. I mean, it's like 20 feet from him. Look at that. We don't have to see the whole shark, like I said. We just see those two things and it moving, and Jesus, that is terrifying.
Hurry up, get that done.
And it cuts to these young boys on a boat. Like I said, this is a beach town, so this is, kids are always going to be on their little boats in the summertime, especially 4th of July weekend here.
Can't do a damn thing until we get this undone. Get that untangled up there. I'm doing it.
Right here, look at that. Right away, this guy paddling over to them, and look in the background, you see that fucking fin. My God, this is when shit's gonna get fucking real. Oh, this is so good.
Hey, fellas! All in this sheet, make it fast!
Now we got Brody really busting ass over there.
Hey, you guys!
Look at this, look at this. Look how close it is all of a sudden. This guy's over there warning these boys, hey guys, and he doesn't even see it. But we do.
You guys okay over there?
Oh, he gets knocked over. He gets knocked over. We don't see the shark hit the boat. We just see him get knocked over, but we know the shark's there. Anyone that's ever been fallen in the water or falling, you know that feeling of falling in the water, and then you kind of get up and you're a little like dazed, but knowing that something knocked you in the water, it's got to be a different feeling, right? Look at that right there. Look at the shark underwater, sideways, mouth wide open. Nowadays, you'd see some CGI shark, right? And it wouldn't look as believable. This is a tangible object, something you can reach out and touch, and it's coming right at him. You can't replicate that shit. See, that's how we feel as an audience. This kid's eyes, like, he's in fucking shock. Some beachgoers. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at the size of that fucking shark. Look at those teeth. One tooth is like as big as the guy's hand. And look at his face. This is just fucking terrifying. This is brilliant. Once again, like I said, CGI, you cannot replicate this shit. goes under, and boom, we got a leg and just a pool of blood. Look at that pool of blood. That's something, once again, I sound like a broken record here, but something that cannot be replicated with CG. That is my best shark moment from this movie. I know the you're gonna need a bigger boat is classic. Some of the other stuff at the end is classic. There's so many classic scenes in this movie that I haven't even talked about, which is crazy. But I just wanted to touch on a few things there that might be a little bit, I don't want to say underrated, but some things that are just brilliant and just fucking terrifying that you don't think a lot about. A lot of the other moments are woven into pop culture, right? That moment right there is not, but it's equally as terrifying and great as some of the other moments from the end of the movie. So, time for me to rate this movie. If you guys want to give me your rating to this movie down below, I'd appreciate it. I'm a tough grader when it comes to movies. Very, very tough. There's movies I love that I give like a 7 out of 10. I'm about to give the highest ranking I've ever given a movie, and that is 9.8 out of 10. I can't give it a 10. I don't know if any could give any movie a 10, but 9.8, like, it doesn't get any better than Jaws. Jaws, Back to the Future, Halloween, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those are like my 4 favorite movies of all time. They kind of can switch on any given day. I love this movie. Like I said, I can't talk about this movie for 20 some minutes and give it justice. I'm gonna watch this movie tonight. I'm excited to watch it again tonight because it's 4th of July weekend. So thanks for watching, everyone. Happy 4th of July, and I will see you next time.